This is the Type 71, a vehicle that I have made quite a few videos on in the past. And funny enough, people still ask me in the comment section over and over to make a review on the vehicle. So I decided I was going to grind this vehicle on my free-to-play account. And as you can see, I have finally made it to the tier 10. I've actually almost also finished all of Japan, grinding the Hori next. So I've gotten quite a few lines done, and the Type 71 is a line that I'm quite proud of. The major reason I wanted to get this vehicle on my free-to-play is down to the fact that next update, this vehicle is getting premium AP as its ammunition, which is insane. It's going to cut through everything that resembles armor. I think if I'm not mistaken, it's going to be 346 millimeters of premium AP pen if you're running Cali, and the vehicle's also getting alpha to 420 on the standard. So it's just kind of getting a flat buff all around. It's not even losing any DPM. The Type 71 is also a vehicle that features gun depression or mobility, depending on how you kit the vehicle out. I'm currently running gun depression on the tank, because I feel like the Type 71 is already a fairly mobile vehicle. It's not the fastest, and you're going to notice that in this gameplay. I would say it probably accelerates similar or maybe a little bit faster than something like a 60 TP. But the difference is I have much, much better armor than a 60 TP. This vehicle features about a 310-ish millimeter thick upper plate, which means that even loading premium ammo, you're going to struggle to pen the vehicle. And when you add that into the fact that I can also have the gun depression on this tank and actually pretty solid accuracy. Something a lot of people don't realize about the Type is that its gun is very accurate on move, and you can see that here. It doesn't really bloom much, which I always find rather odd, but yeah, it really just doesn't bloom. So you can see that we're actually fairly decent at acceleration, going upwards of 36 kilometers per hour at this point. We are going to make our way up top the windmill. Yeah, there you go. Nice slapperoonie into the enemy mill. That's a great example of this vehicle's on-movement dispersion, cutting through that player with no problems whatsoever. We're going to reload and get a nice pen right into the Emil 2's turret. This is why I always run calibrated shells. If I was running rammer, that probably would have been a bounce. So at this point, I'm just making sure there's not a lot of death around us, but doesn't look like that is to be the case. So the 777 is playing incredibly aggressive, and honestly, I don't blame him. We're going to roll around this corner, and we're going to finish off the Emil if we can. Hello, Gavna. There you go. Nice shot. And just like that, the 60 TP finishes off the player. I don't know what the enemy team's doing, but it looks like they're not going to this side of the map. We got the E-75 over towards base A, but not really. They're kind of like caught in between. The enemy team does have an FE2 and 5B 183, which is always cause for concern. And speaking of the 183, it's right in front of us. But thankfully, I was able to angle my tank towards the 183, and because of that, he bounced his AP shell, probably right off our upper plate. A great example of how this vehicle's armor is just incredibly solid. We have the E100 off to the side, who we get a nice pen into. And wow, that E75 got turned into pancake dust. I can't believe that guy died so fast. Alright, well, we got the 183 off to the side, but honestly, I could really care less about that guy. He's already dead, basically, and he's going to die. So I'm going to try and help out my team with the C100 in mid. We got one nice shot in, and just like that, we're up to 2,300 damage. See, damage per minute is not as important as people make it out to be. Don't get me wrong. It can be a game changer. There are certain situations where having high levels of DPM allow you to deal much more damage in a game than you would have if you had, you know, a tank like the Type 71. But people always forget that while you may not have high DPM in a vehicle like this, you have much more resilience. So, like in this game, for example, I can drive right into the front of a TVP and an IS-7, and I can bounce all these shots for days. And you couldn't do that in a tank that has 3,500 DPM like a Leopard 1. I'd have to play a bit more passive, making it harder for me late game to just drive in front of an IS-7 and chunk shells while dealing damage in the process. Because of this, you can actually get some very consistent damage in a vehicle like a Type. You can see that this game, we're able to deal upwards of 4,300 damage already, and this IS-7 is obviously not enjoying my vehicle's company. We get a nice 35 damage ram, and we finish him off for 66. Well, there you have it. That was our first battle in the Type. I mean, obviously the enemy team was really bad. That was really bad for even my accounts for bad teams. That was absolutely atrocious. But hey, we did 4,400 damage and blocked 3,020, finishing off with a first class. Nothing crazy, but I'll take the credits and I'll take the mooncakes. So pretty solid first game for the Type 71. You can see just how simple the playstyle of the Type is. The gun hits a lot of the shots you fire. the penetration is more than adequate, and the armor just works. This is one of the few heavies that I can really say plays like an Object 268 version 4, where as long as you wiggle it, you should be fine. The big difference is that this tank actually has incredibly strong track wheels. It's one of the major reasons I always say this is an incredibly good comp tank, is because track wheels are a massive weakness in tier 10. If somebody sorry, my voice just died there. If somebody knows how to penetrate your track wheel, they can shoot it at like this angle, they'll cut through, they'll stop you in the process, make you use a repair kit, and you'll get penned. But that's not a problem for the Type 71. This vehicle features track wheels that are about 300 plus millimeters thick, so you really just can't pen them. Now we get a 310 damage bounce, which is most likely the bat chat, but right now we are capturing base A. This is the major thing that I want to do. It's actually not the bat chat that bounced us. It's probably the Object 140. Oh, no, it is the bat chat. They have two bat chats. Okay, that makes a bit more sense. So the enemy team has two heavies. They have an E100 and an IS-8. I do have some teammates behind me, being a 268, so yeah, they do have their tanks over here. Okay, interesting. Well, either way, we get a nice pen in, and we get a bounce in the process. That makes sense, because again, we're on a Type 71. Now, this is where it feels quite nice to be using gun depression on a vehicle like this, because obviously we can just cut right through our opponents. We get another nice pen into the enemy IS-8, and just like that, we've been able to deal some decent damage. The enemy E100 might make a crucial mistake YOLOing me here. We get one nice pen into the E100, and now we're just going to chill right in front of him. We're going to drive back and forth, making sure that this E100 has a hard time penning us in the hatch. We've gotten 2 shells into his vehicle at this point, and obviously the C-100 has no clue what he's doing. We get a nice pen into his tank, and we're still reloading. Oh boy, but that is not exactly what I want. We got a Jagdpanzer E-100 rolling off into the side. Well, we're going to angle our tank, and there you go, the Jag indeed bounces us as well. Just like that, we've been able to block 3,700 damage. Let's get a nice tracking shell into the Jag. Unfortunately, it does not pen, and somehow the IS-8 manages to pen us in the process. Now we got the 100 off to our side as well. We're going to drive back and forth, but this is not going all too well for us, I'm going to be completely honest. Yeah, the Jag cuts right through us as well. This is a good example of what happens when, well, your team doesn't really support you. To be fair, there wasn't really much I could have done in this situation, but yeah, this is not exactly what I would call an incredibly fun situation. We get a nice heat pen into the enemy Jag, and we're kind of hoping he'll bounce us. The IS-8 actually bounced us in the rear somehow, which is pretty sad, I'm not going to lie. But hey, we might be able to get just one more pen out because of that. Bonk, there you go. Another nice shot. And with that, we were actually able to deal 3,400 damage. Can you name another tier 10 that was able or could have been able to deal that amount of damage and bounce that many shells in a situation where we had a full health E100, a full health Jag, and IS-8 YOLO us? I don't really think you could. The sad part is that we literally have a full health 268, which I don't even know if he knows what the drive button does, which is really sad. If this 268 had just driven right into the alleyway to cover us when they rushed down, this could have been a much better game. But you know what? We did our job. We distracted 3 tanks, and we won on base cap, which is just an insane situation. Obviously, those players are not very good, but hey, I'll take the damage. We blocked 5,700 that game, bouncing 11 shots on our vehicle. Once again, just a great example of the Type 71. The funniest part is that we did still 3 times higher than the next best on our team. We actually did a pretty sizable chunk to those players, taking 1,200 off the 100, 1,470 off the Jag, and just about 700 off the IS-8. You can see how, even though mobility's nice, the gun depression gave us those early game shots, and we were still able to back up plenty fine and get it in the cover. So at the end of the day, the Type 71 is a fantastic heavy. I would suggest that anybody that likes the IS-4 grinds this vehicle, because as the IS-4 is getting nerfed next update, this vehicle is basically just becoming the IS-4. Because of that, just play this. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Let me know what you guys think about the Type in the comments, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye-bye.